Hello! Welcome to Saron Things, a pop culture podcast where we laugh our way through this week's trending topics. I am your host, Saron Alcaba, and boy, do we have a lot to discuss. The Oscars were yesterday, so of course we'll be talking about that. We have some Bravo chat about Venita clearing up, her ratchet behavior from this last week's episode of Southern Charm. We're talking about Dakota Johnson. She won her third Razzie for Worst Actress, and you guys have so many feelings about that. And of course, our Justin and Blake update. So let's get into it. Let's start with the Oscars. They were yesterday, like I mentioned. And the people who stole the show at the Vanity Fair's after party was obviously Paige and Hannah. Duh. I cannot explain how proud I am of those two. It's insane. If you guys were able to watch their live stream on the Vanity Fair carpet last night, I hope you noticed just like how disarming they were. I watched celebrities all evening on the red carpet be interviewed. And of course, like everyone did a great job. All of the reporters did. But there was just something about the second that the girlies got into Paige and Hannah's presence, you could see like a switch flip. They relaxed. They were ready to giggle. The energy was good. It was positive. And can we talk about Paige DeSorbo? Okay. Just how much she has blossomed. Okay. I know this bitch probably took, or probably almost overdosed on beta blockers to get through it, but who cares? Whatever. She used to be a nervous fucking wreck reading the ads on the podcast. Those ad reads took it out of her. You could tell. And now she's on the Vanity Fair red carpet, kikiing with Meghan the Stallion like it's nothing. It's incredible. And I was not at all surprised about Hannah, of course. This is old hat for her, She's a comic. She's on stage doing jokes weekly, multiple times a week. She's touring all over the world. Like, this is her thing. It would be a little weird if Hannah was a nervous wreck. But, of course, Hannah kicked ass, too. They're just such an incredible dynamic duo. They both look beautiful. They kicked ass. They giggled with celebs. They made us giggle. They completed the task. A stars, like A+ all around. Good job, gals. So there was another person at the Oscars that caught my attention, and it was Timothee Chalamet. He didn't win. He didn't win for Bob Dylan, and I'm sure that hurt because you know how he said he wants to be the greatest of all time. And lucky he's 13, so he still has time to accomplish that. But what I really want to talk about is him and Kylie. Because Kylie did join him at the Oscars. She was sitting right behind him, supportive girly. I did not like her dress. I did not like Kylie's dress. It was giving like Grammys 2013, right? So it wasn't the elegance expected from an Oscars fit. But, whatever. She attended the Golden Globes with him, but she wasn't at SAG. I loved her Golden Globes dress. I think that she should have channeled more of that kind of like slinky, elegant vibe instead of the cutout. I'm just like not a cutout girly. You can't, it's very hard to do a cutout and look elegant. Okay. It's a very hard, yeah. I would say it's impossible to look elegant with a cutout, but that's just me. And maybe she obviously wasn't going for timeless, let me not be a bitch. Anyways, the point of this is there was a moment last night when I looked at Kylie and Timothee and I had like a That's So Raven, like look into the future. And I just saw them in like 2070 sitting at the Academy Awards, just like crunchy, old, decrepit, wrinkly, still madly in love, still doing their thing. Timothee has successfully become like the most the greatest actor, the greatest thespian of all time. And, Kylie's just there, probably on their 13th child. But yeah, no, I think they're going to get married. Guys, I think they're going to get married. Do you remember when we found out that they were dating? It was like first the rumors started trickling out. And I distinctly remember saying, ain't no way. There is not a chance in hell. Not a Do you know the kind of game that Timothee Chalamet must have run on that girl for her to say okay? The kind of game. He had to say some slick shit. You just know he was on some smooth ass shit. so smooth it probably caught her ass off guard, Because if we're looking at her dating history, one of these things is not like the other, okay? One of these things is not like the other. Not to say that Timothee isn't cute. He is, I don't consider him like that a sex symbol like many of you people do. I don't know how he's bamboozled the female population into thinking that he's some kind of thirst trap, but alas, I think he is a cutie. One of my favorite podcasters, Taylor Strecker, she refers to him as an Elizabethan shoe or Victorian shoe. And yeah, that's the energy he gives. He gives Victorian shoe vibes. So, of course, I did not think that Victorian shoes and the Kardashian Jenners, there was much overlap, but alas, she loves her little shoe. Honestly, thinking back through her dating history, she did date Tyga, who bears a striking resemblance to a naked mole rat. So maybe we don't understand her tastes as much as we think we do. Anyhoozle. Next. Okay, Southern Charm. Venita hopped on her Instagram stories to explain to us that Branzino dinner that she cooked JT actually occurred after. It occurred after the Bahamas trip. So if you don't remember, that Branzino dinner is when JT told Venita that he had a girlfriend. So the way it was filmed, it looked like he told her he had a girlfriend. They went to the Bahamas. She threw herself at him, not giving a fuck about the girlfriend. And JT had to be the one to be like, nah, girl, back the fuck up off of me. Turns out it did not happen that way. She did throw herself at JT, but she thought he was single while she was doing it. So, which is better, right? No one likes a home-wrecking hoe. But I still don't get it, girl. I still don't get it. Every time she interacts with JT on my screen, I find myself going, Venita, 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 Venita. What? Why? It's just JT, that little man. She's little too. Like, put her in my pocket. Small, but I just don't understand the attraction. I don't understand the attraction. I cannot imagine letting that little man play me. Oh no. Oh, no. Oh, no. That stresses me out. Was it embarrassing? Yes. But I will say that if Shep can survive experiencing the embarrassment that he experienced whilst in the Bahamas, then coming back stateside to re-experience it again with the rest of the world watching, if he can survive that, we can get through anything. There is nothing that we cannot get through. There is nothing Venita cannot get through, because that was embarrassing, but nothing is as embarrassing as Shepard. So JT kind of made up with Madison because who the fuck would actually take him seriously when saying that Madison's husband was jealous or concerned that JT and Madison were hooking up? What planet? On what planet, sir? Not possible. But we didn't actually address what the cause of the commotion with JT and Madison was. And it's because Brett did feel some kind of way, but not about her spending time with JT. He felt some kind of way about her spending time with Austin. She said he wanted to make sure that she wasn't like snuggled up at night, having snacks and a nightcap with her ex-boyfriend, which I think is absolutely fair, which is fair. And also, Madison does not give a fuck about Austin. They are legitimately friends at this point. And I think it speaks to their relationship and the health and the strength of it that Brett, of course, having slight trepidations is normal, but he allows, like anyone could allow Madison to do anything. But he doesn't give her a hard time about the career that she had when she met him, as I feel like a lot of Bravo Lebs complain that when they start dating people who are not on reality TV or like not in the industry, that even if they start off dating them whilst they're on the show, eventually as time goes on, they'll start making them feel weird about it. Like, you really want to be this messy on national television? Like, yeah, bitch, that's what pays my bills. So he seems to support her, and I love that. I love that for them. So I asked a question on my TikTok the other day, and it was, Was Paige the only thing that made Craig tolerable? And I believe she was. I deluded myself deeply for a bitch that I didn't even know so that I could be okay with this relationship. But he is a man without integrity. Said on the after show something like, when asked about why he lied about JT, he said, "I'm a lawyer. Of course I'm going to lie on camera." Sir, what do you mean? What do you mean? First of all, have you ever practiced law? Has he ever practiced law? I am proud of him for passing the bar after lying about it for so long. But I don't know. I don't know if he is the legal or like a legal mind that I would trust. He has this sense of superiority over his castmates, over especially the men. Like he's figured life out in a way that they haven't, and it's just have you, Craig? Calma. That's what I keep fucking thinking. Just calm your fucking tits, dude. The way he freaked out about the rooms was very Craig a la Winter House season 3. Do you remember when he got on that table and like broke glass, stomping around shit, throwing food everywhere, like food fight, like a idiot. And the next day he was like, "I'm not cleaning that. I don't clean. I make too much money to clean." The energy he was giving in the Bahamas when he realized he might have to share a room was that energy. Like, I'm 34-year-olds don't share rooms. And to be fair, girl, that's fine. You're allowed to have that standard. You're allowed to not want to share a room, but you're not allowed to be a fucking bitch about it, okay? What you do is you sneak down to the little concierge and say, hey, do you guys have any rooms available? And they say, yes. And you book that room. And then you go all the way upstairs and you talk to your friends and say, hey, guys, I really appreciate you guys putting this together, but I think I'm going to need some like quiet time to really relax on my own Z's. Not too much, but just a little. So I went and got myself a room. I will be just down the hall. Toodaloo. That's all you needed to do. That's all you needed to do. You don't have to pitch a fit like a bitch. Ugh. I'm so disgusted by that. It's just, I find it so just gross. Because you know what? I don't like to share a room either. And I don't. But I don't make it anybody else's problem. Back to Shep. Feels like this week he's going to have another sit-down conversation with Sienna about how they were once in love over the span of knowing her 2 months. What? I do not understand how people can fall so hard so fast. I guess, was I like this in the beginning of my last relationship? You know what though, bitch? We did say I love you after like 2 months. So who the fuck am I to talk? You can be in love after that long. You can. Let me take that one back. But we were together for 8 years after that. So there's that. I don't believe it's love. I don't think it's love. Do you guys think it's love? He is deeply infatuated with her. Can we talk about Shep's drinking? Okay. So Shep Hard was like kicked out of BravoCon for being too fucking drunk. He's in that last episode, he was kicked out of the casino for being too drunk. He fell asleep on a beach chair and woke up in the middle of nowhere on some random beach when everybody had been like looking for him all night because they knew he was like blackout, terribly wasted. This is a trend in his life, and he is so old. He is ancient. I don't understand why he doesn't have more shame about his behavior. I don't know. He needs therapy. Is Shep not in therapy? Because he really fucking needs some therapy. And Taylor's really just sitting in the background, just fucking eating her popcorn, having the time of her life, really enjoying watching him suffer. And I love that for her. I am not a huge fan of Taylor, but Shep's behavior towards Taylor makes me want to defend her because he, talked about her like she was this simpleton who he didn't respect at all. And I don't know who the fuck he thinks he is, thinking that he's some sophisticated man of the world. Sure, you've traveled. That's fine. You're well traveled, but you're still a nincompoop, sir. You are not this sophisticated. You're a drunken buffoon. Once you're not a drunken buffoon, we can talk about your sophistication. But until then, sir, get it together. Who the fuck do you think you are? Do you remember when Madison was introduced to the group? He was just like, she's trailer trash, Austin. I can't believe that you're dating this fucking hairdresser. He has an air of a superiority that is not deserved. Okay, I don't care if you have a trust fund. You're still tacky as hell. And that's that. Like, what would Shep be doing if he was not on this show? Like, where would his career have gone? He got a book deal. I'm sure the book didn't sell well because who the fuck is trying to... First of all, did he write it? For such a fucking man of knowledge and sophistication, I would imagine that he didn't have a ghostwriter and wrote that book himself. But other than that, like, what? At least Craig had gone to law school. Like, what the fuck was he planning on doing with his life? I guess when you have a trust fund to kind of fall back on, you don't really need to worry about that. But then you end up becoming this middle-aged, desperate, drunken loser. He's a giant man baby. I don't know. When he and Madison were sitting on the bow of the boat, Madison looked at him and said, do you not think you're rich enough for her? And he goes, I don't think I'm rich enough for her. Boom! Okay, and he needed this. He needed to be taken down 15 fucking pegs. Maybe this will do it. Maybe this will be the thing to diddly do it. Moving on to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I don't have much to say, but I have some questions, mostly for Kyle Richards, actually. Kyle, did you initiate the separation or did you not initiate the separation? If so, why are you so shocked that separation things are happening? All right. I understand why Dorit is thrown for a loop, because no matter how gross or weird PK is, she still wants that man. You know, she wasn't the one who initiated this shit. You, on the other hand, I don't understand. I find it hard to feel sympathy for Kyle because she's never straightforward about what is going on in her life and how we got there. You know, she obfuscates perpetually and she's so dramatic. Like, are you a lesbian or not? Did he cheat on you or not? Also, why are you so on edge about Kathy when it seems like she has the memory of a goldfish? You know, she's so scared of Kathy, but Kathy doesn't seem like, I don't know, I must be missing something with her. Anywho, so yeah, that's my thoughts on Kyle Richards. I find her annoying, dramatic. She's always telling half truths. I never know what is going on. I don't know. She's like a perpetual victim, and I don't like it. Let's discuss Dakota Johnson, okay? Dakota Johnson, the terrible actress. She won a Razzie for Worst Actress for Madam Web, which was apparently an action film that came out this past year. And this prompted me to ask on my Instagram stories if we were ready to discuss that she's a terrible actress. And I was shaken by how many of you feel the same way. I've never gotten such an overwhelming agreement about how bad an actress is. You guys feel really fucking passionately about this, so I'm happy to discuss. So she's like the final boss of nepotism that really gives otherwise talented neppies a bad name. She's like a one-trick pony. And the trick is actually she's like a half a trick pony. She's so monotone. And that doesn't do you any favors when you're acting. She keeps getting these roles and I'm just like not sure why or how. If you guys didn't know, she is the daughter of Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson. Don Johnson was one of the leads in Miami Vice, I believe, a show that was even before my time. So she's solidly a Nepo baby. But I will say she does have the best bangs in the game. Actually, no, second to Zooey Deschanel. And her bangs deserve an Academy Award for managing to get through an action film with those things still plastered on her forehead. That's something. She's won 3 Razzies, guys, for Worst Actress in her very, very short career. And yet she keeps getting these roles. How? What? I heard somewhere that established actors don't really have to, what is it called again? Audition. Established actors don't really have to audition for roles anymore. And is that what's happening here? Are people just offering her shit? There are so many unnamed random people with dreams, with lights in their eyes, ready to live for the lights, who could do a great job. And you're telling me that all of these talents don't even get a shot because they're handing these roles to Dakota Johnson? It's not right. It's not right. Maybe this film, Madam Web, will be the thing that makes Hollywood open their eyes and realize she's not it. And listen, I would love to have a drink with the girl. Um, not that she would after hearing this, but alas, I think she'd be fun to knock back a couple martinis with, have a good old laugh, a good old gay chuckle. I would love to hear her tips on bang care, hair care. She does have luscious locks. And I think I could have a laugh with her. Like, I appreciate her straightforwardness on Ellen. I've been told that was the moment when Ellen's downfall began. When, if you guys don't recall, it was when I don't know, Dakota Johnson went on her show. It was around Christmas time. Ellen made a comment about how she wasn't invited to her birthday, and Dakota Johnson was like, "Yeah, you were." And apparently, that was a big fucking deal. So good on her for that. But just in general, why act? Why act? She doesn't get a lot of positive reinforcement, so it's very confusing as to why she's continuing on. Anyhoozle. Meghan Markle's Netflix show With Love, Meghan premieres today, the day that it's posted on March 4th, I believe. And it's giving me anxiety because I know that the heifers, the miserable heifers with like live, laugh, love, and praising God every day in their bios are going to come out of the woodwork from their coffins where they probably sleep hanging upside down, and try and tear her apart. And I'm tired. I'm fucking tired. I will be in the comment section calling you hoes gross. And I will grow into your profile and I'll find something incredibly personal with it to attack you with. And that takes effort and time. But I will do it. Okay? Some people deserve to be embarrassed. Not Meghan, but those freak shows who hate her like they know her. So, yeah, like I'm like the comment sections are wild. They're insane. I think that something in my brain broke after the whole Northwestern debacle when she was getting all that hate for wearing the sweatshirt of her alma mater because her mother-in-law, her late mother-in-law, happened to have worn the same sweatshirt, 20 years prior. Something in that moment just, I was already a big fan of her before, but now you hoes are unreasonable. And I'm going to tell you that you're unreasonable. Look at the Instagram posts of like Page 6 or People Magazine or whatever, Us Weekly. And you will, any post about Meghan Markle, I immediately go to the comments and the comments are heinous. They're disgusting. And so I will go through and just be a psycho bitch back. Just a psycho bitch. But I'll do it very personally. And I'm proud of that. So if you see me in the comment section, say hey, Saron. Help me out, because I am tired, like I said. Meghan girl, I'm your one woman crisis PR team. So I don't know if I'm going to give that show a watch. I don't really like lifestyle content. It doesn't really do it for me. I mean, if I need to figure out how to, rehydrate a hydrangea, first of all, I know how to do that, but a quick Google search will suffice for me. I don't need to watch a 8-part series. But for those of you who do love, the more, I don't know, aesthetic-y, homemaker-y, chicken coop vibes, have at it. Go forth and watch. And last but not least, that we will tackle today is Justin versus Blake. Okay, so update. The subpoenas that were sent to the telecom companies were ruled to be overly broad and an invasion of privacy, as we all expected. So Judge Lyman came back and told the Lively folks that they needed to return with a list of actual people that they think have connection, that are pertinent to the case, so that those logs between those people and the defendants, Wayfarer, Justin Baldoni, etc., so they can get those logs. As you know, the original subpoenas that were sent out to the telecom companies requested call logs for almost 3 years without limit. Every call and every text that went out, they wanted records of that. And so Blake Lively had only started, the smear campaign that she's referring to started in 2004. She didn't step foot on the set until 2023. So why she was asking for records between 2022 and 2024 are kind of beyond me, also beyond Judge Lyman, because he seemed very confused about that as well. So I would imagine that the next batch of subpoenas or a records request or whatever that we see from Lively's folks will be more specific and for a much shorter amount of time. So that was a big win for them in court. On the Baldoni side, Baldoni actually, it was a mixed ruling that Judge Lyman gave. So Baldoni had a loss himself. They had objected to subpoenas being served to third parties that were not named in this case. And I believe that refers to employees of Wayfair or Baldoni. And the judge said, you can't, object on behalf of a third party. You have to wait for them to be subpoenaed, and then they can object if they feel the need to. So the Baldoni team lost on that, but I can safely say it was a bigger blow to the Lively squad. Yeah, and then the New York Times filed their motion to dismiss, which everybody was waiting for, nobody's surprised about. And it probably will be dismissed, and I actually hope it does get dismissed. The ethics of the New York Times is definitely in question, right? And I believe that they'll feel the consequences of that organically by, losing patrons and a loss of credibility. But the defamation claims that Justin Baldoni is making could have, larger implications and larger ramifications, really, when it comes to freedom of speech for news organizations. So the argument that the New York Times is making is that they weren't reporting on Baldoni himself. Rather, they were reporting on the CRD filing, and they have broad freedoms to report on stuff like that. So right now, really does not feel like the time to be setting precedent that news organizations can be held liable for unfavorable reporting on public figures in the United States. So this will probably be dismissed. I doubt that Baldoni and Brian Friedman thought that they were going to win this case. I think the lawsuit was to make a point, and to make the point that what was written in the supposedly reputable news source was not properly investigated, and to, underscore his innocence. So I think it was a strategic PR move rather than a legal move that was meant to see its day in court. Oh my God. Did you guys see the video of Ryan Reynolds doing a Q&A on Twitter? Someone asked him, was there a moment that you wish you could go back and fix or undo? And he responds with a time he ran into a woman in a hotel lobby who was nursing, and he was staring at her. She noticed him staring. He noticed her notice him staring. And he said, I didn't know what to do, so I kept staring. So, if you guys do not know, that one of the claims that Blake Lively is making against the Wayfarer party, specifically Jamie Heath, the CEO of Wayfarer, is that he made her uncomfortable by looking at her whilst she was breastfeeding. And first of all, Jamie Heath is a black man. She invited him in her trailer, and then she told him to turn around and look at the wall. At some point, he turned to face her. I guess the conversation kind of continued. He left the trailer, didn't really think about it again. And then when Blake Lively brought it up to complain, he was like, I don't really recall any of this. And Lively said herself, I know you weren't trying to cop a look. So how it was pertinent to the lawsuit enough to bring up if she herself understands that it was not a moment where he was trying to cop a look, as opposed to her own husband, who has done worse. Okay, didn't care about making that woman feel uncomfortable when he was staring her down in that hotel lobby while she was doing the most natural thing on the earth, ogling this poor woman while she was just trying to feed her baby. Ew, 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 ew. So, honest, this is not something that I would pick apart or even really give much of a fuck about if it wasn't on the tail of Blake Lively accusing a man of doing something very similar. Also, I'd like to discuss quickly. Michelle Trachtenberg passed away, and that shook me to my core. I was very much caught off guard. She's 39. She's only a couple years older than me. Apparently, she was dealing with some health issues. She had a transplant of some sort last year, and she'd been kind of reclusive ever since. And no one really knows what happened, but it's a fucking tragedy. She was incredibly talented. Georgina Sparks, man. I'm a millennial, so I grew up watching her. And she was always precocious and funny and interesting. She just had a face that you remember. Loved her on Buffy. So I don't know. It's just an incredible loss. So the cast of Gossip Girl all put out little tributes to Michelle Trachtenberg after they found out of her passing, all on socials. And most of them were like nice and sweet, but the longest and strangest of which came from Blake Lively. And I wasn't going to make a TikTok about it because it's like dark, and I don't know, this feels like commentary that is supposed to be for fewer ears, but I think that Blake Lively writing that huge dissertation of a tribute was kind of gross. They do not follow each other whatsoever, and Michelle does follow other members of the cast on socials. And the picture that she picked was a still of them shooting. Like, it looks like she went onto Google and was just like, Serena and Georgina shot like pictures, and just like grabbed one and popped it in there. She said, like, it was so fucking weird. She was like, your lip gloss always smelled like brown sugar, and that was a favor. What are you talking about, ma'am? It was just so strange. And obviously, it didn't come from just a natural, I want to say goodbye to my friend spot. Like, no. In this situation, you're being watched under a microscope, okay? People are going to pick apart what you're saying. And by leaving such a long, bizarre note, it does take some of the attention away from Michelle Trachtenberg, and the conversation starts to become about what Blake Lively meant by her tribute to Michelle Trachtenberg. This was publicity that was guaranteed to not be about her court case, right? Who knew if it was going to be positive or negative, but it was different. In order to kind of at least attempt to shift the conversation, I understand why she did that. That being said, I think that Blake and her team consider the public stupid. I don't think that they understand that many people are far more media savvy than you've given them credit for. They see the steps that you're trying to take, the games that you're trying to play. So everybody's looking at all of her moves with a side eye, including this one. And if I was her publicist, I would have told her, sure, post 3 sentences max, okay? And find a fucking picture of you two actually together. Do not pull a still from Gossip Girl and think people are going to buy that you actually were friends. This was an opportunistic moment for Blake Lively. When was the last time she spoke to Michelle Trachtenberg? Did Michelle Trachtenberg even like her on that set? I don't know. I have my doubts. I do have my doubts, though. And that brings us to the end of our program. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Saron Things. I will be back on Friday with another episode, and toodaloo!